What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Barbells and Trails podcast. I am your host, Brett. Back with episode 30. We're here. We're at the big 3-0. We've made it this far. It's adding up pretty quick, honestly. It's kind of surprising. All right. So things going on this week. First thing I'm gonna point out is my sound panels finally came in. It's kind of minor for you guys. It might not be. I don't know. We'll see kind of once the recording's done. I can tell you right now that I can't hear as much echo. There's still a little bit. You're going to have that little ambience of like the noise kind of bouncing off the walls. But I actually got the sound panels in. I ordered them like 2 months ago because of shipment shortages on certain fabrics and stuff. It's just taken a minute for it to actually get in. So they're here. Hopefully everything sounds a little clearer, a little better, and not so much little background echoes. So that's a plus. So I know that I told you guys that last month was my best month ever so far, but I kind of wanted to actually show you the numbers. So I'm going to pull up my views and everything else so you guys can actually see what happened in October. It was my best month yet. In October alone, I had 1,153 views, 101.2 hours of watch time, and 15 new subscribers. Not only that, but I had almost just over 46,000 impressions. For me, that's quite a lot, and it's kind of crazy to see that. I mean, especially considering now my lifetime is almost to 4,000 views, but so many of that was the last month alone, and I did kind of just want to say thank you to you guys for making that possible, because if it wasn't for you and all that, it wouldn't be there. Like having that base community, even though it is a small community, it's growing. I mean, the subscribers are going up, the listeners and watchers are going up. I think a lot of that definitely had to do with having a video, having you guys the ability to see me actually trying to work on thumbnails and change it up and do different things to kind of get more attention. But it's growing. It's there. I'm making progress, and I'm happy that that's happening to begin with. So I just wanted to thank you guys for an amazing month, and hopefully the ball just kind of keeps rolling, and we'll see where this can go. I mean, we still got 2 more months till the end of the year. We're only like 6 months into this, roughly. So I can't wait. Now, it's been a while since I've just been able to talk to you guys and talk about everything, and just myself, because the last 2 videos, even though there's 2 in 1 week, have been, there wasn't any, I guess, like back and forth and talk. I was trying to work on specific things for those episodes. So first off, we had the Halloween episode last Monday. Interesting episode. It's kind of crazy that was only a week ago, or just about a week ago now. It seemed like longer, but it was an interesting video. I will tell you guys that was not my original game plan for the episode. I was planning on actually having a guest on that was going to be dressed up as Machine Gun Kelly, and we were gonna still read stories and do shit and bullshit a little bit, but I was gonna have a guest on. That was my original plan. Turns out his schedule was just too full to be able to come. He really, really wanted to be here and do the Halloween episode because he thought that would be pretty hilarious and just kind of fun and stupid, and he wanted to be a part of it. Sadly, he just couldn't. He just didn't have time to be able to come over and do everything like we needed to. So I decided, fuck it, I'll do both. I do have these 2 outfits. Why not actually use them? And so I did. It was kind of a pain. Everything took longer to record than I thought. It took me a hot minute to edit. I know it wasn't necessarily anything pretty on the editing, but for me, that there was more to it. I'm trying to slowly but surely add more to the editing, and it took me a second. I mean, I'm not an editing master by any means. So, especially on the video aspect of it, trying to put everything together and do stuff. And it ended up being longer than I was originally expecting. And I just kind of went for it. I really just kind of rolled with it and was like, okay, how can I do this? How am I going to make this work? Just kind of went for it. And that's what you guys ended up with. I think the total recording time between putting all the tattoos on and doing this for the Post Malone, and then trying to take all that shit off and change and re-record the new stuff, figure out kind of what I needed to do so I had everything I needed recorded, it probably ended up being like 3 hours at least. It was an interesting Sunday for sure, Sunday morning. But I made it work. The stories weren't quite what I was hoping for. I was actually hoping to find different stuff, something a little more spooky, but I couldn't find the quite what I was looking for. And I was like, well, I mean, the stuff I have here, this would work. The one story was a lot longer than I expected, and then I just started reading it, and I just had to finish it. So. But some of them were interesting. I hope you guys did enjoy that. I found it kind of funny. And that's the thing. I knew the outfits. I knew the thumbnail. I knew all of it looked ridiculous. But I just like, you know what? I'm kind of rolling with it. Like, this is more like a Halloween parody. Like, I'm not trying to make this serious. Like, I'm barely talking to you guys as an audience. Which, I mean, that's typically what I got to do because I don't have anybody else to talk to. But if you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe, click the bell icon below to be updated when videos come out, and make sure to like the video. It helps spread the video to more people and grow our audience. Let's get back into the video. I was just talking about Halloween stuff and reading, and just kind of I wanted it to be a little corny and goofy, so I was kind of happy with that, and I think it definitely caught some people's attention. I think it's on like 60 plus views right now on YouTube, so the thumbnail was definitely interesting to say the least. Now, as for last week's episode, all about charity water, I do hope you guys did enjoy that episode. I had a lot of fun with it. I found Scott Harrison's story fascinating between his times in Africa and the stuff he did before. He basically dedicated his life to serving people and others and trying to find ways to do that, and starting his own nonprofit, and just basically how the company has grown and the difficulties and everything. It was an amazing story. I just happened to come across them a few years ago, started donating like I told you guys, and I didn't totally know his full backstory. I knew bits and pieces because they had made a video on it. And I didn't know they had wrote a book until I just happened to see it like 2 months ago. I was like, fuck it, I guess I'll order it, and started reading it, and it was an amazing story. I definitely recommend anybody to go check it out. It had a lot more detail than last week's episode did. There was a lot more that I could have talked about that I kind of wanted to mention, but by the end of it, and I realized how long the episode had been, I was like, okay, no, I'm fine. Like, this works, and I didn't want it to be super long anyways, but there was just a lot of information, a lot of stories, so I wanted to try to not just like overwhelm and basically say everything that was in the book. I wanted to kind of have some difference in it, and kind of change it up, and kind of just intrigue you guys, hopefully, and go from there. But at the end of the podcast, if anybody made it to it, I created a fundraiser basically till the end of the month, trying to raise as much money as possible. My goal was set for $5,000. My original goal before actually creating the the fundraiser and recording the episode, I was going to shoot for 500, and I thought about it. I thought about the 10x rule. I know the 10x rule would have been 50,000, or no, I'm right. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. But I thought about the 10x rule and just everything, and I was like, you know what? I was like, screw it. Let's shoot for 5,000, because why not? Because if I can shoot for 5,000, and even if I end up with only 600, that's still $100 more than I was originally going to go for. So I'm not going to complain. As of right now, the campaign is at $215. We've had 5 donors. I am one. At the moment, I am the highest donor. We got 24 days left until the fundraiser is over, but I'm hoping to just get more as the time goes. I mean, there's still 24 days. There's a lot that can happen in that amount of time. So I'm hoping that by the end of it, we're sitting all right. I mean, I will let you guys know that the fundraiser link is going to be in the description. So please be sure to go down there if you guys are willing. I just want anyone to donate. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's $5, $10. Every dollar counts, and that's all that matters. I mean, it only takes $40 to raise enough money to basically supply one person with clean water. And so far we've been able to supply, I think, 5 people, and it's like, hey, that's something that's changing someone's life. And to me, that's all that matters. It's like, I want to see this do well. I want to see this break 500 for sure, at least. I want to, if this could hit $5,000, that would be amazing too. Like, that'd be even better. But it's like, I wanted to donate myself. I wanted to kind of get the ball rolling. So yeah, I donated $75 out of my own pocket. I'm probably going to put more. Cause I want, to me, there's also an extent where it's like, people need that money more than I do. If that money goes to paying for a well, paying for the everything that implies between the construction, if that pays the salaries of people in Africa to go build these wells, or anywhere else, or build any of these projects, or if it pays for the fuel just to get the trucks out there. Like, I mean, right now we're in a really crappy economic times to begin with. We're in a recession, but it's like the whole world is struggling right now. So it's like people in other countries are going to be struggling a lot worse than we are. I think it was a few weeks ago, I thought I heard Iran's inflation is up 50% right now, which is ridiculous. Like, yeah, it sucks for us right now, but it's not that bad. So it's like everybody else is struggling. It's not just us. So if there's anybody that's going to need help and still need donations and funding, it's going to be charities in a time like now. It's like people are going to be less likely to donate because of the situation we're in. But you know what? Like, I still want to be able to do my part. And if there's going to be any time that they're probably going to need as much money as possible, it's going to be now. So if you guys do want to donate, please go. Don't hesitate. Go for it. It was a very fun episode. I enjoyed it. It's structured. I tried doing like more with it and stuff, and it was a very cool topic, because just it's such life-changing stuff, and some of the stories you hear and you read about, like, or well, I read about it. It was very touching, and it definitely touched like a deep point in me, and I think as every person it would, in the sense of just like touching a deep part of your humanity, and the sense of seeing people struggle and hearing these stories, it hits you just somewhere other stuff just doesn't. And like, human suffering to me has always been something I hated, even at a very young age. When I first went to Indy, like, it was the first time I ever had witnessed a homeless person, and as a kid I couldn't necessarily wrap my head around it, in the sense of why they're homeless, why no one's there to help, why this is happening, and why people just walk past them and these people are stuck on the streets. It was the first, I guess, it was my first like real lesson in life to kind of see the hardships and like see people suffering, and I didn't know what to think, and it just made my heart hurt. Like, it at a very young age, I hated it. If I had any opportunity to as a kid, even if I had a couple bucks, I would give money to the homeless. Like, whatever I had at the time, I would try to give something. $10, $20, whatever. I've gave some food one time that I just happened to have when I was in DC. A lot of stuff. I just hate to see that people are struggling when I know I don't have a lot compared to some people. Like, there's people that's had shit way better than I do. But at the same time, I'm not in the same situation as a lot of people. And it's like, if I can do anything to help, I want to try. And I think that's something I've always wanted to do. I mean, it's been in the back of my mind for years that something I would love to do if I had the opportunity was to start my own nonprofit. I wasn't necessarily sure what I wanted to do and what exactly I wanted the nonprofit to be for, but I do think the thing that had me for a long time was the homelessness crisis and trying to find a solution, because there's ways around it. There's no governmental organizations that necessarily handle it well, and to me it's like, okay, if you got to do it privately, maybe that's what you need to try doing. So it's been in the back of my mind to always want to start a charity, and hopefully that's something in my future, sometime in life, to be able to do something like that and help people. And I think that's also one reason why I was so I guess like drawn to Mr. Beast at one point, especially when he was in his younger stages. I mean, he still does a lot and he gives a lot of money away, but when he was doing videos about like spending $40,000 or something on supplies for like a homeless shelter and giving stuff to Salvation Army, and going to like Walmart and spending 20 grand on towels and food and buying out stores and giving food away and like doing all this stuff, like, and I think that's still in him. Like, that's why he started Beast Philanthropy, and like that's what he's still doing now. He's feeding people in poverty that are struggling. So it's still there, and that, I think, because even as a kid I was a part of stuff like that. I helped with food pantries and food drives, and handed out food and volunteered time and did stuff. I bought in 4-H, something that we always did was buy families like Christmas presents, and we'd do stuff and we'd wrap them and pick stuff out for the kids, and basically have like sponsor a family or two and stuff like that. And it's like, I loved doing that. It was a lot of fun, and I think that was probably the reason why I ended up loving giving gifts, as when it came to Christmas, not even necessarily receiving. I think that was kind of the start of it. Even though I never met these kids in this family and never saw their faces afterwards, just knowing that it's going to them and imagining the joy on these kids' face because they didn't know they were going to get anything, and we're out here getting them stuff just to deal with the cold, coats, gloves, hats, but also trying to find toys and stuff they really like, and like just something that they're able to open up on Christmas and just make their day great. And it's just the little things. It's nice. If someone's never volunteered time or money or volunteered with charities, I think you should, like doing food drives and helping and do stuff around that in your community. I haven't done it in a while. I definitely should, but it gives you a larger perspective on life, and it's kind of perspective changing, I guess. And I think that's why it's like, to me, donating to charity water isn't a burden, because it's like I know I can figure myself out. Like if I donate money, it's like I know I'm fine. It's like I'll donate more if I need to or I want to, because the more people I know that I'm able to help, the better. And it makes me feel better. Like there's been studies done, like giving money away, or not giving money away, but helping others and giving back and doing stuff has been shown to just make you live a happier life. Philanthropy is definitely like one of the greatest things that another human can do, and it is known to bring almost the largest amounts of joy to people. And it's something I'd love to do more of for sure, and I need to. So please, if you guys want to, please go donate. I do appreciate it, and I want to change as many lives as possible. I'm definitely going to do a fundraiser next year and so on, and I'm going to do it more often just because it's a great cause, and it's like if I can raise more money for them, why not? But I guess in other news, or other news, or stuff that's been going on, something I have not been able to talk about. I mean, it happened like a week ago. Elon has officially bought Twitter. Even though me and Noah talked about this, our second episode, it's just now coming to fruition, and it is official. Last week, he officially bought Twitter for, I think, $44 billion. And it's going to be interesting what they do. I mean, he's going to try finding different ways to basically have the company make money. He's focusing on doing different stuff. There's talk that he might try to recreate Vine and bring it back. That one I found very interesting. I'm not against it. I think it is risky for him. I think if he really wants to bring that back, they're going to have to do almost an overhaul on the code and everything and change it. And like Mr. Beast tweeted Elon Musk when he said that, he's like, you're going to have to make it remarkable. He's like, you're going to have to make it unique. Otherwise, don't bother. Because nowadays, in today's market and with TikTok, yeah, could it possibly become a TikTok competitor? Possibly. But they got to make it where it's worth it. So we'll see. But not only that, when it comes to Twitter, I have officially set up a Twitter for the podcast. I just did this today. So it's very new. I'm probably going to try being active on there. I feel like I'll be active on there probably more than I am on Instagram. I'm trying to set up a shorts channel as well for you guys. And I changed some logos around, if you notice that on the YouTube, and changing some stuff. So it's coming along where hopefully I am posting shorts and Instagram reels and stuff shortly and on a more continual basis. So there's more content out there for you guys. So that stuff's kind of coming into fruition. I'm going to try being on Twitter and being active on there a little bit here and there, posting stuff about new videos, episodes, whatever. Just trying to get out there more. So if you guys want to message me on Twitter, you can follow me, whatever we'll do there. I think, what is it? I think it's at Barbells Trails. I kind of do the and symbol, and I didn't think it'd be nice to type out Barbells and Trails. So it's at Barbells Trails, and you'll find it. And so it's very interesting with Twitter. I'm excited to kind of see what he does, because I know everybody's worried about the stuff Elon's going to do, if he's going to change Twitter, blah, blah, blah. But I think considering he preaches free speech and as an absolute, I think it's very interesting. And I'm curious to see what he does, because I do think Twitter over the past couple of years, even though I haven't been on it, I've heard and seen enough stories of how it's just become very ideologically ran and basically controlled on a very left a very left ideological perspective. So I think it's it's cool that he's kind of getting on there and wanting it to be a more open platform for everything. And I feel like that's something we need for sure. Like, I think that's something that's necessary for social media and stuff like that. You got to have open. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are. Free speech is important. And it doesn't matter what perspective, you need to hear someone out. And sadly, it doesn't happen nowadays. You can't have a conversation with someone else that has a different point of view as you, and it's stupid. I mean, I know that I can get heated. No, I don't get heated. Not like some people do. I I like getting in debates and conversations, but typically if I do really try fighting certain stuff, it's more because of a factual basis. It's not just because of what I believe. I mean, that definitely influences why I'm talking about it, but most of the time it is more on a fact base. But I can also agree to disagree with people, and that's fine. And I think that's something that's been lost. Like, agree to disagree used to be something said a lot more often. Now, I don't think anybody uses it. It is kind of like, because we can't disagree, you got to believe what I believe, and it's just kind of stupid. So, I think this will be all right, everybody. I got a fundraiser till the end of the month. I'm trying to raise $5,000 to donate to Charity Water. 100% of the donations will be going to water projects around the world. Please check the link in the description and go donate. Every dollar counts, so whatever you can is much appreciated. Thank you. A new era for Twitter and social media, and I think in the overall perspective, it's going to be a positive for it. So I'm curious to see what exactly happens. Not only that, but Dr. Phil the other week was on JRE, the Joe Rogan Experience. I typically don't talk about Joe Rogan's podcast when I'm on here. I'd listen to it a lot. I probably listened to the majority of episodes. I hadn't started listening to him until last year, and it's definitely, I see why it's the best podcast in the world. The interviews he has on, some of the people he has on, authors, scientists, it's very compelling and very interesting. There's definitely some episodes I'm kind of like, not as interested, but there's a lot of amazing episodes. He had Dr. Phil on. I was just curious because, like, okay, Dr. Phil on a podcast. I think he has one, but I'm curious. I've only known Dr. Phil from the show. So he came on and they talked about a lot of different stuff. They talked about issues with the basically the country, in the sense of education and depression and anxiety and people my age. And it's very interesting to listen to, and the stuff he talked about with like social media and people being on their phones. I fall into it a little bit, but not as badly as other people my age or older, or even kids younger than me. And I think the reason being was, at a young age, I didn't have the internet. I didn't have smartphones. I didn't have, which, I mean, all that was coming out more as I was growing up, but I had a delayed ability and accessibility to all those things. Like, I think I said this on the podcast once, but I didn't have the internet, I didn't have internet access that was actually good until I was maybe 13, and I was at one house at that point in time. So I was not available. I had Xbox. I played COD. I could not play with people. I was used to playing on my own. I didn't have computers. I didn't have any of this as a kid. So I wasn't necessarily as in it. I downloaded Instagram late compared to a lot of people. I downloaded Snapchat very late compared to a lot of people. I was just never as on top of it. I never had Vine. I just never was a social media guy for the most part. I mean, I guess you consider YouTube social media. I was on that a lot, but it was different to me. So it didn't have quite the effect. My attention span is definitely not the greatest. I don't feel like anybody's can be nowadays, especially someone around my age. But I'm also a lot better than a lot of people my age, and that's true. I've been to lunch out with people my age and older, some almost 10 years older than me. And we'd be sitting there at lunch. And typically, when I'm with people and in certain situations, I stay off of my phone. If I'm on my own, or if there's certain situations where we're not like going out to eat, or I'm just kind of chilling by myself, yeah, well, I'd be on my phone most likely. I'll be watching a video, I'll be listening to podcasts, I'll be doing something. But when I'm with people and I'm out doing stuff, I hardly ever pull my phone out unless there's a reason. And I distinctly remember one time going out to eat with a bunch of people from work. And we went out to eat. We, I think, ordered, and we're just sitting there. You know, typically when you make small talk and chit chat and, I don't know, eat chips and salsa because we were at a Mexican restaurant. And all three of them, there's four of us, counting myself, were sitting there on their phones, scrolling TikTok, scrolling Instagram, whatever the fuck. And then I'm sitting there, my phone, I think either on the table or in my pocket, just kind of sitting there silently. No one's talking. And I'm just kind of like, what the fuck? I was like, why? I've never understood it, especially when you're in a social situation like that. To me, I find it very rude. And it's just kind of like we gotta be able to talk about other shit. And it's also like when I'm out with people, I want to be in the moment. It's like, yeah, there are times I probably let time fly by and I waste it watching shit. Yeah, most likely. But when I'm with people, it's different because that gives me a reason to be in the moment. Because it's like, what the fuck's going on? What are we gonna talk about? Shit like that. But some people just don't get it. And then let alone the anxiety and depression that social media has caused. I think I dealt with that, and I have, I think, more recently than I had in the past. Probably from, it wasn't even depression, but like seeing weightlifters and shit on Instagram, or seeing posts from other people's Instagrams growing up in high school where people are on vacation or going to the beach, hanging out with friends, doing all this extra bullshit. One, I was never one to necessarily post my life that much. One, because I was ashamed of the way I looked at the time, so I didn't want to post pictures of myself. And then not only that, but if I took pictures, I'd rather just hold on to it. I couldn't be bothered to make a post half the time. It's like, like I got pictures. That's all that matters. I'm not gonna like make a photo dump and throw it on Instagram. It's like, I have them. That's all that matters. I don't gotta show everybody what I'm doing. And I know for most people that's hard to believe, and especially since I want to kind of work and do shit with social media, it's kind of crazy I think that way. But it's just it. I think that is what made me, I guess, sad and possibly depressed in high school. Some of it was because I had friends in high school that I hung out with quite a lot. I didn't necessarily go out. I've never been one to go out and do shit. Not necessarily because I haven't wanted to. There's definitely times I like sticking to myself and doing my own thing. But I just don't go out much, and I never have. And part of it is, especially in high school and in school, was I lived 20 minutes outside of town. Most of my friends lived in town. All of my friends lived in town. So it's like those guys might hang out, but I was always kind of the outcast geologically? No. Whatever. Like just naturally. And then not only that, I was overweight, I was fat, I was awkward, I was kind of nerdy. My face did not mature for a long time. I mean, when I was 14, I looked like I was 9. And so I would just kind of, I didn't hang out with a lot of people. I didn't have a lot of friends. And so when I did see people on Instagram post group photos and activities and people going and doing stuff, part of it was like, man, I don't do that. I don't have a nice car. I don't, my parents don't have as much money to allow this. I don't go on vacation. I've been on basically 3 vacations total that I consider my life. One was with family. 2 of them were me, and it was going out to Oregon the past 2 years. And other than that, I haven't really had vacations. So seeing that was definitely one thing that, and I think that is the thing that causes depression on social media, is seeing the good points in everybody's lives. I didn't realize that at the time. It wasn't until later where I developed more and learned where it's like that is the whole point of social media, especially Instagram. It's like everything everybody's posting on Instagram, they're not going to post shit and take pictures and add posts of shit when they're sad or their life sucks and all this stuff. They're only going to post shit that's cool, the crazy stuff they're doing, all the fun shit when they're actually doing stuff and look happy and look like their life's great. So that's something I didn't realize at the time that definitely caused me issues, but it definitely could have had a worse effect on me, and it just sucks. And that was one thing that like Dr. Phil and them were talking about, was shit like that and kids my age, and just how a lot of stuff's changed. One of the things they talked about, which was kind of crazy, was that supposedly there's been studies done that almost a third of people in the United States are, oh, what was the word? It was like below a second grade or third grade reading level, which to me doesn't fucking make sense, but I could maybe see it. It's hard to tell nowadays because it's like nobody reads. I think the average book read a year, or I think it's more than 50% of the population don't read a single book in a year. So it's also makes sense that the top 1% of people read on average 60 books a year when most people don't read one. Makes sense. Makes sense why they're doing so well too. And so it's just like, damn, and how things in this country have kind of slowly gone downhill. And it's like I love this country. It's just, fuck, politics have gotten so fucking stupid the past 6-7 years, and it's just, and people too, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm not gonna say a whole lot about it. It's just so politicized, it's so polarized. There's only two sides, that's it. You can't converse. It's just, it sucks. And I feel like most people nowadays, everything is fed by the mighty dollar, and no one in politics, not no one, but most people in politics don't actually look out for the people, and it just, it sucks. But on a more uplifting, fun note, Sober October finished. So during Sober October, Joe Rogan, Ari Shaffir, Tom Segura, and Bert Kreischer don't drink. They're sober. They're completely sober from every drug. And not only that, but they typically do some sort of fitness activity to basically keep everybody accountable. This year was 500 calories burned every single day from working out and 100 push-ups every single day. They've done some other stuff. It was a very interesting podcast because they do one at the beginning of the month and one at the end, where at the end they can finally drink and smoke weed and do whatever. And I think the main thing I took from it, well, it was an interesting podcast in general, just everything they were talking about. But I think that I want to do something similar. I think I want to get with a friend of mine or my sister and do shit like that, where not necessarily since of sober, I already don't drink much, but basically being accountable for each other to basically say like, nah, you gotta do this shit every day. You got to do this. You gotta get on top of it. You gotta do this workout. So I think I'm going to take some lessons learned from them, and that's something I'm probably going to do here within the next month or two. But also in the social media space, Airrack hit 10 million subscribers. I think at the beginning of the year, he started off like 1, and he's hit 10. There's still 2 months left. His goal was to hit 10 million subscribers by the end of the year. And I mean, he's already at 10.3 now, as when the video came out about him hitting 10 mil. So he probably hit 10 mil, I would say, a week or two ago, and I just didn't know it. So it's really cool. they posted a video basically like talking about him hitting 10 mil, basically their backstory. I didn't know his full backstory. I knew he was getting very popular on YouTube. I've been watching his stuff. He's very entertaining, and I didn't realize the amount of time and money he sacrificed to try being successful in the YouTube space, and it ended up working out for him tremendously. I mean, he talked to Colin and Samir one time and told him that his best month from AdSense on YouTube was over $400,000 in a month. It's fucking ridiculous. And he was talking about how when he first started, and just how much of a struggle it was, and there for a while, like, each video wasn't making him $1, but he said fuck it and kept going and working towards it, and just kept growing it and growing it, him and Mac, his editor. And it was very cool to see kind of their backstory, because I hadn't followed them necessarily for a long time and watched his stuff. So it was really cool to kind of get filled in on their journey. And at the end, he did break down in tears and talked about like his appreciation for everybody, and it was very touching. It was a very great, wholesome video, and I'm very happy for him, and I hope that he keeps doing amazing stuff. I mean, I would be glad and appreciate hitting 1,000 subscribers, let alone that. And I know he's dedicated a lot of time to reach those goals, so I'm very proud of him, even though he doesn't know me. It's cool to see him succeed, and it's quite amazing, and hopefully he keeps working at it, and he's going to keep growing for sure. But that was mainly it for him. All right, the last thing we're going to go over today is some stuff going on in the news. Let's get into it. All right, number one. Why did I say number one? All right, let's see here. I've been keeping track of this. I think I might want to buy a lottery ticket. Powerball's jackpot has reached a record high of $1.9 billion. Played in 45 U.S. states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico, Powerball is the largest U.S. lottery. Tickets cost $2, and players choose 6 numbers from 1 through 69. If those numbers match the 6 winning numbers, then that ticket wins the jackpot. Lesser prizes and partial matches range from $4 to $2 million. In 2016, Powerball recorded a then record of $1.6 billion jackpot. After no ticket hit the winning numbers on Saturday, though, this jackpot climbed to a record 1.9. The next winning numbers are released Monday. The cash option for a grand prize winner is $903 million before tax. Wow. I think I've also seen another statistic that we've had 5 jackpots reach over $1 billion, and that has all been since 2016. Inflation has actually allowed it to get that high quicker because the dollar is worth less, but the $5 billion jackpots have happened within the past 6 years. It's kind of crazy to think about. And there was 3 since 2020, I think. Not only that, but there is a lunar eclipse coming this week. A lunar eclipse on Tuesday, a total lunar eclipse or blood moon will be visible for much of the world Tuesday. A total lunar eclipse occurs when the Earth passes directly between the sun and the moon, blocking the sun's light from reaching the moon. During that, if light passes through the Earth's atmosphere, it makes the moon look red. The eclipse will be visible from 5:16 to 6:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be visible at different times across North America, Asia, Australia, and the Pacific, and South America. It won't be visible from Africa or Europe. This is the last total lunar eclipse until 2025. I don't think I've ever seen a lunar eclipse, but I will be up on that around that time, so I will be able to check it out. I'm kind of excited. That'll be cool to see before going to the gym. Psilocybin tablets for depression. A UK study found that psilocybin combined with therapy may be effective at treating depression. The study used synthetic psilocybin, the psychedelic compound found in magic mushrooms. It involved 233 adults suffering from treatment-resistant depression. All participants were assigned to groups. One group received 25 milligrams of psilocybin, another 10, and a third 1 as a control. All participants also went through therapy. Those with the highest dosage had higher rates of remission at weeks 3 and 10 than the other two groups. The researchers say the results weren't a larger study. More and more studies have definitely been popping up on psilocybin and mushrooms and certain psychedelics for a lot of treatments. It's very interesting. I'm curious to see what will happen over the next 5 to 10 years. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention said that a crackdown on opioids is harming patients who need them. Opioid prescriptions and overdoses quadrupled from 1999 to 2010. Amid criticism that they had overprescribed opioids, doctors approved 44% fewer opioid prescriptions between 2012 and 2020. The CDC now says that people with intense pain are being denied access to opioids and suffering for it. Some sick people are illegally buying opioids, the CDC says, including fentanyl, which is 50 times stronger than heroin and kills tens of thousands yearly. Yeah, I mean, okay, so that's the thing. I think that there definitely has been an issue in that scenario, and I think that it definitely sucks that some people aren't able to get the medicine they need. But also, I think relying on opioids is not great either. I think that there should be other ways around it. Like there should be something else we can do to prevent it. Like or not prevent it, but help. And that's where, to me, it's like, why isn't medical marijuana legal federally in all states? Because it's like, if that was an option and I was dealing with pain, I'd rather go to that way before I go to an opioid. Like, it's ridiculous. And then the amount of people dying from fentanyl, and let alone getting addicted to opioids, is fucking nuts. So something needs to happen, and I think that's one reason why there should be a call for federally legalizing marijuana. By the way, I do have to make an update. When I talked about good job Biden for letting out any convicted people from federal prisons for possession a couple weeks ago. Well, I guess no one got released because most people that are in there are for multiple charges or more for dealing or selling and a bunch of other shit. So no one in federal jails are actually being released from possession. So what he said basically is doing nothing. So that kind of sucks. I was hoping that there was going to be progress. At least him talking about it and the stuff he did say is progress in itself, but I thought more was going to be done. Okay, this is good news. End of the Ethiopian civil war. The Ethiopian government and rebel forces signed a ceasefire, potentially ending a 2-year civil war. How did I not know this was going on? Ethiopia, Africa's second most populous country, has dozens of ethnic groups. One group, the Tigrayans, who make up 6% of the company's dominant make up 6% of the country, dominated Ethiopian politics from 1991 to 2018. After losing power, the Tigrayans accused the government of marginalizing them. The tension spilled into civil war in November of 2020. The United States estimated that the conflict has since killed 500,000 people and displaced millions. The sides said the peace deal will permanently silence the guns and end the 2 years of conflict. Fuck me. Why? Why does this fucking shit happen? 5,000 people, 500,000 people dead. And sadly, a lot of the places that Cherry Water has built wells has been in Ethiopia. So it's kind of terrifying that shit like that's happening, because it's kind of like, have their projects over the past couple years had to slow down or cease because of it? Are people in these wars fucking with um wells or something to kind of like stop certain sides from getting access? I don't know. It just sucks. It really does. Well, anyways, I think that's going to do us for this week. I think we're done, but I will see you guys all next week. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next week. Who knows what the hell is going to happen next week? I really haven't planned ahead. So I'll see you then. Peace out, everybody.